over 184 different product categories. The India Handloom brand was launched back in August 2015 to brand high-quality handloom products with zero defects and no ill effects on the environment. Backed by robust government measures, the domestic electronic manufacturing services market is poised to grow at a 32% compound annual growth rate in the financial year 22 to financial year 27 period to reach $72.2 billion, ladies and gentlemen. So Bharat's growth story continues even as the nation signs the first ever green ammonia export agreement with Japan. This marks a step forward in Bharat's journey to becoming a global leader in green hydrogen and ammonia production. And according to a report by Helios, an India-focused Singapore-based asset management company, Indian stock market outperformed the world's richest investor, Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, in the last 25 years. And as Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarked on a visit to Poland and Ukraine, European Parliament members have called our PM's visit to Poland very important due to the politics and also business that prevails and the current atmosphere there in Eastern Europe. The PM's visit will be the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Poland in 45 years. He's already there in Poland. He's going to be there till tomorrow afternoon before he embarks on a train to Kiev, the capital in Ukraine. Let us now focus closer on the issue at hand, ladies and gentlemen, the big story. The outrage over the ghastly rape and murder of the trainee doctor at the RG Kar Medical College in Kolkata continues to gain momentum. Protests that started last week are continuing unabated, and even today there were multiple people from all walks of life who were out there in the streets of Kolkata protesting, demanding justice. They did not want to. Most of these rallies were not organized by political parties, but people from all walks of life, most importantly the middle class, which comes out and said that they are sick and tired of what's going on. They just want justice. They want the system to uphold and stand up for the common people. And this has been going on, and people say till the time that's happening, we will not rest, and these protests will continue. 11 days, and this continues, ladies and gentlemen, be it normal people from all walks of life, advocates, students, and also now today film stars have now come out demanding justice for Abhaya. Most importantly, in the far column that you see, that's the latest letter that's been written by more than 200 signatories. Diplomats, bureaucrats, people from all walks of life, and more importantly, influential people, even judges, have penned an emotional letter seeking justice, saying that it's a wake-up call to prioritize women's safety. Now let's try and understand this. 20 judges, 110 bureaucrats, 13 ambassadors, 165 armed forces officers have written this letter, and where they have come out and said, yes, 20 judges, 165 armed forces, 13 ambassadors, 110 bureaucrats. This is the total number of people who have written this letter. Let's just call that letter up, and I just quickly want to read out what's written there. Let's go back to that letter if we can on our screens. Just call the letter back here on the screen, please. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, on the wall, please. Yes. So what are the specific recommendations? Increase patrolling and security personnel in areas where doctors are on the night duty or on night duty. Provide separate and adequate washrooms for female and male doctors. Install functional intercom systems in doctors' rooms with emergency SOS features. Conduct thorough investigations into the administrative heads of institutions to assess their role in ensuring the safety of their staff. Reassess and reform the entire system to address the systemic failures that contribute to such tragedies. The demoralization caused by this incident could have far-reaching consequences for the medical profession. It is crucial for policymakers in West Bengal to take decisive action to restore confidence and ensure the safety of healthcare workers. The big blot over people in authority. We strongly believe that such incidents expose a darker side of society, how children are brought up and what education imparts upon them, and if we are going in the right direction in the human race overall. So a larger concern also voiced by these people who have written the entire history, and they have come out and said it's a cry for justice. Most importantly, it's titled, "It's a Cry for Justice," dated 21st of August 2024. It says a cry for justice, and these are people who have signed this, people of eminence who have signed this and said time to do something about this. We'll speak with film director Sil in just a bit. He also is one of the protesters, and he's also called out for justice for Abhaya. But more importantly, let's try and understand this. This is not the first time. Why is it that here on the right stand we are asking, have the real villains been shielded? The real villain in this case is the ex-principal Sandeep Ghosh and perhaps his coterie in that RG Medical Hospital. Why? Have a look at this letter, ladies and gentlemen. It is dated the 30th of October 2023. It does come from the state BJP president now and Shukanta Majumdar, who was the member of parliament Balurghat Lok Sabha at that point in time. Why is this important? It is important because it says urgent, and it's written to the address to the governor of the state of Bengal, C.V. Ananda Bose, alleged irregularities in all medical colleges, especially the RG Medical College. So he is alleged, and he cited 6 discrepancies where he said, I hope this finds you in good health. Let's try and look this. And there, I am specifically writing for alleged irregularities and corruption starting from the Swasthya Bhavan, Health Ministry, Swasthya Bhavan, and spread all across the state in the administrative and educational level, specifically at the RG Medical College. And he is named Professor Sandeep Ghosh, the principal. What is it that he is alleging? Let's try and understand that. Let's go down and look at what are the 6 discrepancies. I have tried to call out all the 6 discrepancies on the screen together. Let's try and understand what are these discrepancies. First one is the procurement discrepancy. High flow nasal cannula procured at an inflated rate of 4.5 lakhs compared to the purchase at 1.6 lakhs. Okay. UG skill lab expenses vastly exceed those at Diamond Harbour Medical College. Manipulation of tenders and contracts. Scavenging tender spend sheet manipulation leading to termination of security agency at an odd hour, subsequent awarding of the contract with alleged kickbacks shared among MSVP and King. Corruption related to orthopedic and surgery implants. Another allegation. Corruption in various procurements, corruption in the procurement of medical equipment involving various names that have been taken in this letter. Guest house and business ventures. Alleged financial irregularities in the guest house. Involvement in partnerships, cafes, parking and canteens. It's a whole and sole profiteering, money-making racket that's been alleged in this. Accusations of unauthorized payments, credit card expenses and questionable business dealings. Personnel misconduct, recruitment irregularities for lab technicians, misuse of authority in counseling and unethical practices. Allegations against individuals and MSV corruption and improper utilization of stalls, canteens and biomedical waste management. These are the allegations that have been made by Sukanto Majumdar, MP at that time, in October 2023. Now listen to the Deputy Superintendent of the college itself. He spoke with News 18 and startling allegations that have been made for him. He is even demanding financial irregularities and demanding the Enforcement Directorate probe this matter. Listen.
पहला जो सबसे पहले मैंने पकड़ा था वो स्टूडेंट लोग को फेल करवाते थे, फेल करा करके उनसे पैसे अच्छे खासे रकम वसूलते थे और जो उनके बात नहीं सुनते थे, कुछ उसमें स्टूडेंट थे जो ये पैसा को कलेक्ट करते थे। फिर उन्हीं जूनियर स्टूडेंट को वो शराब पिलाते थे, उनको पैसे का लालच लत लगाते थे और उनसे आंदोलन भी करवाते थे, क्योंकि आपने देखा होगा कि ये आंदोलन भी काफ़ी होता था वहाँ। अगर जब उनका ट्रांसफ़र हुआ तो ये स्टूडेंट लोग को दे के उन्होंने आंदोलन करा दिया, फिर दोबारा वो प्रिंसिपल के पोस्ट पे आ गए। इसके अलावा बहुत सारा बेआईनी काम, जैसे बॉडी का लेके, जैसे डेड बॉडी का लेके तस्करी करना, जैसे बायोमेडिकल वेस्ट का मैंने बताया था, इसको भी मैंने एक्सपोज किया था। ये 2 कंप्लेन काफ़ी ऊंचा लेवल में गया था, लेकिन ये बहुत मैं बोल रहा हूँ इट्स रियली अनफॉर्चुनेट कि कोई एक्शन नहीं हुआ, क्योंकि मैंने एकदम एक्सपोज किया था विद वीडियो। और जितने टेंडर होते थे, टेंडर में 20% वो ओपन कमीशन खाते थे और उनके 2 खास लोग थे, घुमा फिरा के वही सप्लाई करते थे। उनकी 12 कंपनियां थी, एक टॉवल से लेकर के, एक टूथब्रश से लेकर के, एक इक्विपमेंट से लेकर के, एक कागज़ लेके, एक सर्टिफिकेट प्रिंटिंग, आप जो भी कुछ बोलिए इनके थ्रू होता था।
ये थोड़ा बताइए, ये बॉडी पार्ट्स का जो आप बता रहे हैं, ये नेक्सस कैसे काम करता था और ये बांग्लादेश का एंगल क्या है इसमें?
नहीं, ये बांग्लादेश का एंगल बायोमेडिकल वेस्ट में, इसमें क्या था, 2 तरह के बॉडी होते हैं, एक क्लेम जिनके वारिश होते हैं और एक लावारिश होते हैं। लावारिश को क्या करते थे, ये कुछ प्राइवेट मेडिकल कॉलेजेस वगैरह में चैनलाइज करके भेज देते थे। और ये 5 बॉडी को, फ्रेश बॉडी वो मांगा था वर्कशॉप के लिए, तो 5 बॉडी को इन्होंने वर्कशॉप के लिए, ENT वर्कशॉप के लिए दे दिया था बगैर किसी से पूछे। वो वारिस लाज थे, उनके पार्टी को भी इन्फॉर्म नहीं किया, उनका कंसर्न भी नहीं मिला। और जो डिपार्टमेंट में इनका PM होना था, फॉरेंसिक मेडिसिन के HOD को भी इन्होंने इन्फॉर्म नहीं किया।
संजय रॉय को कभी आपने हॉस्पिटल में आते जाते देखा है या संदीप घोष?
मैंने जब उसका वीडियो देखा और जब मैंने टीवी में देखा तो मेरे जहन में आ गया, मुझे याद आया कि इसको मैंने संदीप घोष के साथ ही देखा था।
देखा था आपने?
हाँ, संदीप घोष।
कहाँ देखा था? कब?
उसके वो बाउंसर रखते थे अपनी सिक्योरिटी के लिए, तो 4 बाउंसर में से ये संजय।
आपने SIT के सामने ये बात बताई है?
मैंने SIT के सामने बताई, लेकिन SIT जो जो मुझसे पूछे मैंने सब बताया, और अभी फिर वो बोले हैं बुलाएंगे।
Well, we have filmmaker, producer and also sometime actor, but very involved in the society there, active society, the film societies and also the civil society. Arindam Sil is with us. Arindam ji, namaste. What do you think? What do you think is being expected, is being demanded? You've joined the protests.
In fact, long before I joined the industry for the walk, my wife and myself walked at the night. Then, when it was decided, the first call for the call of taking over the night was done, and even before that, my daughter, wife, and myself, we put together a joint statement on my Facebook page to despise this heinous act, and we just said that we wanted justice as soon as possible. See, this everything, every demand, every protest that is happening is coming out of the mind, out of the heart. It's because people are absolutely they just want justice, and that is important. We have to accept one thing. It is not about, we have been saying one thing very categorically right from day one. It's not about
We want justice is what Arindam Sil is saying. We'll go across to Arindam Sil in just a bit. We also have Vivek Agnihotri joining us, a filmmaker, and he had made an appeal to people to join him in the protest. Vivek ji, namaste. This is Anand Narsimhan. Jayan sir, you were out on the streets in Kolkata. What is the sense that you get? You joined the protest today.
Yeah, it so happened I was busy with my film shooting and all that. And then I got call from lots of people from here, and they were saying that when Nirbhaya happened, everybody from all across the country came to Delhi. Why aren't people doing something in Kolkata? And Bengal is very close to my heart. I have spent 4 or 5 years researching, making my film. My parents used to live here. So I said, why not? And impromptu, suddenly yesterday I decided, and I landed here. And once I landed, I made a video. And what is satisfying is that this is now an emotional cause. It's a cause for social justice. Thousands and thousands of people came after my video. And this gave me conviction that if you want, you can create awareness about these things. What can I do? See, as a media professional, you can just report. As a filmmaker, as a storyteller, I can just create awareness. Okay, we cannot pass laws and policies. But one thing, Anand, I want to say a few things very quickly before I leave. Can I?
Sure,
okay.
Please go ahead, please.
Okay, we have been researching pre-partition Bengal, Direct Action Day and Noah Khali violence and all those kind of things. What happened in Bengal during that time, that for the call of Direct Action Day, Suharabadri, who's called Butcher of Bengal, so Muslim League, they were in power. They employed the underworld, the mafia, the nexus, so-called Naxas, and the criminals, with weapons. People who used to deal in drugs and crimes. And since then, that culture never ended. This entire mafia, the criminal lobby got shifted. See, it's not that post-independence, they went to Pakistan, they stayed here. Everything got shifted to communist government, from communist government to Congress government, and now finally they are empowered by the current government. Now people are so angry, so emotional about the whole thing because the government tried to cover up. If government had not tried to cover up, it would have been any other case. And the final nail, I think, was for me was when I saw the chief minister coming out and protesting against herself. It's like the police commissioner comes out on the street and protests against thieves. I realized that this is the time of collapse for Bengal. And if you see the socio-political fabric of the state, and what really pains me and troubles me is this is the land where Vande Mataram was written, not
Yes.
Pitram. This is the land where Ma Bharati was conceived as our Devi. Okay, this is the land where women were freed from hundreds of years of Sati Pratha. This is the land where they raised voice against widows' treatment. This is the land where it was written, where head. This is where Sharad Babu actually wrote all the literature in those medieval times about the liberation and freedom and empowerment of women. And today, where have we brought it? Entire Muslim League rule, rape and crime against women was used as a political weapon. Even now, after 75 years of independence, it is being used against women, rape and crime against women as a political weapon. It is very evident. I think people are fed up. They need justice from us.
What do you think will be justice in this case? I'm asking this as a common man, as a person, and you spoke to the people there. You were there with Swapan Gupta and many other civilians also there of eminence, and largely Bengalis. What for them is justice in this case?
Okay, I totally understood. There are two things. Number one, they don't like this dictatorship and arrogance of politicians. Okay, I'm not naming anyone, but they don't like it. You know, instead of covering up, instead of coming out on the street, if the politicians, the local government leadership, if they come out and say, we are sorry, it happened under our guard, it happened under our watch, and we tried to cover it up, we are sorry, we are resigning. If you think we have done anything good for you, you can re-elect us, but we want to repent for this. I think that is what will heal souls and hearts. The most important thing is healing. First time I am seeing in 15, 20 years in such a politically volatile state that this emotion has transcended party lines, ideological lines. It has transcended urban, rural, everything. People don't know what is happening in Bengal right now because everybody is focused on Kolkata. People don't know what's happening in smaller towns and village. A kind of a silent revolution is taking place. And I think this movement should be continued because it's not just a problem of Bengal. It's not that Bengal is another country or we need a separate passport. This is my land. It is my country. But there are two places I know where I cannot make a film is Kashmir and Bengal. So you can imagine what I'm trying to say. Such is law and order here.
Right. Point taken. Vivek Agnihotri ji, thank you very much for making the time and speaking with us. Much appreciated. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I'm going to go back to Arindam Sil, filmmaker, who's also there with the protests, and he says that he's been part of this right even before the larger community came out, even the Filmmakers Association came out. But Arindam ji, let me ask you, somewhere do you believe the outrage of the middle class is because the system has failed them? If I may ask, Manojit Mandal is with us, Abhishek Banerjee is with us, Shazia Ilmi is with us. Namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Just a quick question with Arindam Sil and then we'll take this conversation forward. Yes, Arindam ji.
There definitely have been lacunas, and it has been not just 1-2 years, it's been going on for 20 years, 30 years, it's there. You know, whatever has been there is going on. There are hardly much of changes. You know, education, health, sports, these are places where you ought to have updated, advanced system. That are places where you cannot have politics. But yes, definitely there have been incredible lacunas, and also the way this case has been handled, perhaps there have been lacunas about not doing the FIR in time and so many other things. Now see, everybody's talking about it. Everybody. So let me not repeat them. It's not to protect anyone. It's It has to be the fight for the truth. The justice has to be made. If there is one person, if there are four persons, whoever it is behind this, it has to be made. And this has to be exemplar. This is important.
It is important. Abhishek Banerjee, Arindam Sil was talking to us and he was saying that there are cases where in medical colleges and hospitals, the washrooms, the restrooms have been converted into waiting rooms. And somebody's sitting inside, and if somebody needs to use the toilet, they have to ask the other person to go out, and those don't have locks. This is the scenario in some of the medical colleges in Kolkata, prestigious ones or known ones. And we've just put out a letter that highlighted these issues at Arjikar, dated October 2023, written by Sukanta Majumdar to the governor at that time. Plus, we have the ex-deputy superintendent making some very startling claims about what's been going on there under the aegis of Sandeep Ghosh. Abhishek Banerjee.
Yeah, Anand, so the first thing I would start with is a personal touch, because my mother herself used to be a medical student at the college that this Sandeep Ghosh was transferred to. So she tells me that, these medical colleges in Bengal, they have always basically been dens of corruption. I mean, she recounts, maybe 30 years ago when she was a student, maybe even more, that, at that point, they were scared to even look at like the medical stores at the ground floor level, because you never know what you will see. And if you see something happening, then, that person can come after you. So you better not look. So this was always the situation. And now it is coming to light. The other thing that I would say is that I've rarely seen average Bengali society so mobilized. And that's a great thing, as they have done over this incident. What stood out for me was the shady behavior of the hospital administration, the state government, and the Kolkata police. What was the need for the hospital administration to pretend that it was a suicide? Now, after the principal, he supposedly stepped down in a little bit of drama. What was the need to appoint him as a principal within 4 hours of National Medical College? And the third thing is the strange behavior of the Kolkata police. I mean, we have all seen them on social media. They're going around, trying to give out notices to like random people over these small issues. So the whole behavior of the state government, the hospital administration, and the Kolkata police has been so shady that everyone is very angry. And now Mr. Akhtar Ali, whom you quoted just before in the previous segment of the show, his words have gone viral all across, and everybody is now talking. Of course, there will be allegations that will be flying that this woman, this unfortunate student, did she come to know something? Did she come to see something? And that's what my mother tells me as well. When she was a medical student, they were scared to look at certain parts. Just look, because you never know what you will see, and then you don't know what will happen to you next. So never look. So this was the situation even 3 decades ago. So imagine the situation now.
So there is a continuum in terms of the position that's been taken, that what was happening in the past continued despite changing regimes, yes. And it was normalized as this is how it is. So whoever is in power or in government, this will continue. Now, is that fair on the people of Kolkata? Let me ask Manojit Mandal this. See, the alacrity which the Kolkata police showed at cracking down on those who are perhaps spreading misinformation, who are perhaps fanning the flames a little more or stoking unnecessary responses, including some very eminent citizens who came out of concern. That alacrity should have been shown in cracking down on who committed the assault, the rape and the murder, and had that been shown, don't think there would have been such a big outpouring. And then thereafter the vandalism. Manojit Mandal, where do you stand? And then I'll bring in Shazia Ilmi on this.
I think on both the counts, Kolkata police and the Bengal government, they were absolutely, spot on. They filed FIR on time, arrested the person, the main culprit. Could be many more behind, but the CBI has not done anything. But I want to respond to that, the propagandist filmmaker who pretends himself to be a Louis Buñuel or Godard of the time, but makes all kinds of, artless and uncreative, nauseating films, doesn't know anything about my state, abuses my state from day one. He was referring him as an eminent citizen, but he was flanked by the BJP people, laughing, smiling, and that was the nature of protest that you were covering. I wish to debate with him if he knows anything about.
He's not there. Vivek Agnihotri is
not there, but he cannot abuse my state, the land of Tagore. And he was talking. The other person was talking about the education sector of Bengal. Let me tell him that 3 days back there was central government ranking where my university was topping the chart. 3 days back, amidst all this. And please know your history of education and then debate on TV. You have enough reasons to be angry. Many of us are angry also. This is an incident which shook our conscience, and including the chief minister, because chief minister, she cannot hit the street. It's absolutely bizarre. And we should all point our guns at CBI, and we are thankful to the Supreme Court of India that they have somehow intervened. We have reasonable suspicion that CBI was deliberately leavening tight leaf to give a kind of a de facto political dividends to the BJP. CBI must come out of the truth and act the soonest of what happened, who has done what, in anything brought up, anything of that sort, instead of keeping these speculations right or keep the pot boiling. CBI must come out with the exact truth and as soon as possible. Unfortunately, none of these people, including the media, is actually now pointing at the CBI. Kolkata police could get barely 36 hours to investigate. 36 hours. They nabbed one of the culprits. They arrested him. They questioned so many people. But look at what's happening for the last 7 days. No progress, nothing. Only politics. We have got nothing to do with the normal protesters. But now it is completely hijacked by BJP and their propaganda machinery. Fine, right. We will fight them. They have also got right to protest. No problem with that. But please, for God's sake, stop maligning the land of Tagore, Gandhi and Bankim Chandra.
Well, there are a lot of points where I personally have a lot of disagreements in your argument. But since I will hold my counsel and allow Shazia Ilmi to rebut that this is now being orchestrated and it's taken, the whole protest has turned political, and the Trinamool and Mamata Banerjee is being unfairly blamed. Yes, Shazia Ilmi, thank you for your patience. Regret the delay in coming across to you. Please go ahead.
I think Manojit Mandal should ask this of himself and of his party as to how you lower the prestige of your state, how you malign and denigrate your own state, how shamelessly you have allowed the law and order to crumble, how you've allowed miscreants and criminals to run amok. I think you have brought shame to the state of Bengal, and by complete brazenness and turning a blind eye to rampant corruption and the rot that has stemmed in completely. Just now you were talking about what it means to be a Bengali. I mean, it is, and you have no regard for what people go through. This is the doctor, daughter of ours, got raped and killed. And on whose watch was it going on? The chief minister, who was also the health minister and the law minister. And you are praising the Supreme Court. What do you know what Supreme Court has said about you? Supreme Court is torn into your administration, Kolkata police and the government run by your party. And not just that, there is a CISF deployed to protect and ensure protection and safety at ARG car. It's a matter of great shame, my friend, that you still can speak sanctimoniously about the pride of Bengal. I mean, and you called it proper. So for you, it's propaganda what's going on. But the Congress party is distraction. But for people of Bengal and of this country, it is a case of, not just corruption, but the criminal nexus between people who pretend to be doctors, police, criminals, and all of that. And Mamata Banerjee goes out and protests against herself. What could be more shameful than that? So please stop sounding so, ludicrous and sanctimonious and talk about the pride of Bengal and do not, you have brought it down. You are responsible for this. And I think it is so shameful that the parents of the girls still are being treated badly, that they are not satisfied, that that FIR that was registered after 18 hours and the police that showed up after the girl was pronounced dead, you could not even write, homicide. You wrote unnatural death. So clearly there is a lot that you're trying to protect. It is Mamata Banerjee who is known for protecting criminals. This is not for the first time. And I really want to salute on your channel the former Deputy Superintendent Akhtar Ali ji for standing up to this. There are very few people who can do that. And I hope he's protected and looked after, because his stood up against corruption, and just see the kind of corruption. I mean, there is a organ harvesting going on, the commissions are being taken, money is being made of overselling unclaimed bodies. I mean, this is straight out of some horror movie. This is horror, horror of horrors. And it took a ghastly, beastly murder for us to learn of this, despite the fact that the inquiry should have happened a long time back. So please, Manojit Mandal, spare us. Spare us the platitude.
Let me just quickly
and
bring back.
Don't talk about Bengali pride right now.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. We would like to be proud of the Bengali pride, and like he said, Vande Mataram came from there, Ma Bharati came from there. There are SP Mukherjee, Shama Prasad Mukherjee is from there, not just Rabindranath Tagore, but also Narendranath Datta is from there, that is Swami Vivekanand, Sri Ramakrishna is from there. So there is a huge long list, and those people who effected a lot of social reforms. In fact, the hospital that is named after Radha Govinda Kar, Radha Govinda Kar himself, along with Sister Nivedita, went about treating people, asking for money from the wealthy, and trying to go and give care and also some money to the poor in Bengal. This is during the British times of Bengal. The legacy of RG Kar itself today stands tarnished because what this medical college was up to, or people inside there allegedly were up to. I've got one question with Arindam Sil, and then I'll come back to you in just a minute to our guests. Arindam ji, what do you think is going to calm these protests, because they don't seem to be abating, political or otherwise? Today we saw a huge number of students coming out. No political party was involved there when they walked from CBI headquarters to Swasthya Bhavan. Yes, Arindam ji.
First and foremost, of course, the culprits have to be nabbed. And if there has been any lacuna on part of the hospital and its authority or authorities, they have to be brought down to justice. There are so many things that are coming up. Even in your channel just now, things were being discussed. And if all of these are true, then God save. I mean, there has to be a drastic step taken. And I'm sure that it would be taken. I'm absolutely confident about that it will have to be taken, and it will be taken.
But these drastic steps should have been taken before the Kolkata High Court, before the Honorable Supreme Court stepped in. Abhishek Banerjee, true, false, agree, disagree?
Yeah, so Anand, what I think is that these protests have now, yes, of course, they're about justice for this victim, but I think the whole thing has become a much larger cause. I think at this point, people are really unhappy at that overall condition of law and order in the state, because in this era of smartphones and all, people are seeing that there's one state which is becoming the exception in everything. I mean, there's a small panchayat poll, 50 people are dying, there's rampant booth capturing. I mean, which era are we living in? We are living in the 1990s Bihar sort of era. That's the situation, and people are just unhappy. You have these massive corruption going on at these government hospitals. You can't hold a basic election, and first of all, one thing that I should point out is that the main accused in this case is a so-called civic volunteer. I'm not even sure what that is. They act like police, they go around like police, but they are not police. Nobody really understands how these people are appointed, who these people are, and most people believe that these are basically party people. If you're close to the party, you get hired or something like that, because these are not actual police. So, and even during the panchayat election, by the way, as far as I remember, the Supreme Court had categorically said that these so-called civic volunteers should not be doing any security work because nobody trusts them. But still, these civic volunteers were used for so-called security all across. And nobody really knows who these civic volunteers are.
The important point is it was not just one person. There were many who were involved. None of those people have yet been named. Now we'll have to see how long before the CBI gets into action mode and gets something. And does it even have enough evidence, or is largely what is going to be produced going to be circumstantial, because a lot of it was destroyed in the vandalism, in the botched up in 36 hours that the Kolkata police was there, and also the renovation work that was undertaken by Sandeep Ghosh. Some things don't add up, and some things look very, very messy, and they don't look very good for the health minister and the chief minister of the state. And very respectfully I say this because there's a lot expected, politics aside. Mamata Banerjee is one of the tallest leaders, and she has borne the brunt of apathy and misgovernance. And to see this current state of affairs, it it is regrettable. It is regrettable. I'll pause there. I thank everybody. Thank you very much. We are compelled to take a short break at this point. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we shift spotlight to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's in Eastern Europe. His first visit in 45 years to Poland, and from Warsaw, he's going to make his way to Ukraine, Kiev, the only global leader to land up in Moscow just last month. And the very next month, he will be in Ukraine. Stay with us.
दिनांक 20/8/2024 रोजी ठाणेदार पोलीस स्टेशन ओरल यांना बाल कल्याण समिती सदस्य सौ प्रांजली मनोज जयस्वाल यांनी 2:30 वाजता सुमारे फोनद्वारा माहिती दिली की जिल्हा परिषद उच्च माध्यमिक शाळा काजीखेड येथे शिक्षक प्रमोद मनोहर सरदार यांनी 6 मुलीचं विनयभंग केलेलं आहे. अशी माहितीवरून पोस्ट ओरल याची टीम घटनास्थळी जाऊन तत्काळ शिक्षक याला ताब्यात घेतले. तसेच सायकाळी पीडित फिर्यादीची जवानी रिपोर्टवरून पोलीस स्टेशनला अपराध क्रमांक 292/24 कलम 74 व 75 BNS सह कलम 8 व 12 ऑक्सो याचे प्रमाणे गुन्हा दाखल करून आरोपीला अटक करण्यात आलेला आहे. पुढची तपास महिला पोलीस सब इन्स्पेक्टर नीता धामदर करत आहेत.
In 45 years, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the first Prime Minister to land in Poland since Morarji Desai back in 1979. The timing of this visit coincides with the 70th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two nations. Now, during his stay in Poland, Prime Minister Modi will meet President Andrzej Sebastian Duda and hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Donald Tusk. The focus of the visit will focus on strengthening bilateral relations, with discussions likely to cover a wide range of issues, including strategic partnerships, defense cooperation and cultural exchanges. Now, while the European Parliament member Dariusz Joński has termed the visit as very important, the Ministry Ministry of External Affairs, or the MEA, has also highlighted historical ties between the two nations, recalling Poland's assistance to Bharat during Operation Ganga in 2022, which facilitated the evacuation of over 4,000 Indian students from Ukraine. And this gesture, along with the historical refuge provided to over 6,000 Polish women and children in Bharat during World War II, are being seen as the cornerstone of good India-Poland ties. But there's more to it. India-Poland ties are perhaps the largest trading in Central and Eastern Europe, two nations with over $3 billion in trade. Indian investment in Poland, bilateral trade of $5.72 billion in FY 23-24. Indian exports to Poland at $3.96 billion. India's imports from Poland stand at $1.76 billion. The cultural connect also is there. Strong tradition of Indology studies in Poland. Sanskrit is being taught in 600-year-old university since 1860. The largest center for Indian studies in Europe is in Warsaw. Ayurveda and yoga are widely acknowledged and also practiced. And then, from Warsaw, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Ukraine on the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Ukraine since the country became independent in 1991. The Prime Minister will travel to the Ukrainian capital Kiev and share perspectives with President Volodymyr Zelensky on a peaceful resolution of Ukraine conflict. What's the significance of this visit? It's the first visit of an Indian Prime Minister to Ukraine in 30 years. It also reflects deepening ties between both Bharat and Ukraine. Discussion on multilateral cooperation with Ukrainian President. Visit to build upon the recent high-level interactions between leaders, and bilateral talks are significant in the wake of Russia-Ukraine conflict. Bharat is very clearly aware that both Moscow and Kiev are yet unwilling to sit at the negotiating table, and this visit happens at a time when there's been an escalation from Ukraine because it's also entered Russian territory with attacks, both drone strikes and territorial strikes. Prime Minister Modi's proposed visit to Kiev will take place amid expectations that it might pave way for a peace process, but will it? The PM earlier had said that Bharat would like to continue to do everything within its means to support a peaceful solution, and it will go there. The visit will present perspectives, Bharat's perspective on how this can be achieved. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, former diplomat, with us, and Ruslan Botnik, Director of Ukrainian Institute of Politics, is also with us. My namaste to both of you. Thank you, gentlemen. Let me first ask you, Mr. Botnik, how do you see this visit, and what are the expectations? Is the focus going to be largely bilateral? Is Ukraine going to tell the Prime Minister Narendra Modi to sit out the conflict conversation?
Hello, colleagues. The Ukrainian expectation from this visit is much deeper and wider than only bilateral negotiation and relationship between our countries, because we recognize India like one of the main leader of the global South countries, and Ukraine is willing that India take participation in the second global peace summit in this autumn, and maybe participation of India also could involve to this summit also another countries from global South. It's only one aspect, but also there is a huge range of questions between bilateral questions between countries, political question, and the Indian role in negotiation between Ukraine and Russia also should be very significant. And there is also economic ties. We have 2 billion international trade each year, near 2 billion, and we have very, very specific trade with pharmaceutical production, food, engines for Indian warships, and so on. There are a lot of small problems, and there are a lot of very high challenges for deepening these cooperations.
But given the conflict with Russia, do you think Ukraine is in a position to work on the aspects economically? Because a lot of it is being drained in the cost of war. In this case, will suddenly, if India has a solution, if PM Modi comes with a workable solution, will Ukraine be amenable? Will Kiev and Moscow will agree to sit on the table? Because one of the conditions for Moscow is that they want to be at the table when conversation happens.
It's a very difficult question, but it's easier to understand with comparing with something else. In any case, India is neutral country, is non-alignment country. India not like a China, which is involved in support with Russia, for example. And so the position of India is much better in this negotiation table comparing with another possible negotiator. It's a huge country with big abilities, with a big influence in the world, and this is quite independent country, even if we are taking account economical cooperation, military cooperation with Russia, but no one in Ukraine thinks that India is dependent on Russia.
Right.
Everyone is understanding that it's only Indian national interests.
So their respect is there, that it's not that they're supporting Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but it's a necessity because there is an oil crisis, and the global energy crisis is also somewhere being countered or met because of Bharat's purchase of crude. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, the hug in Moscow did not go down with President Zelensky, because that was the same day when a hospital in Ukraine was attacked, and there were some comments that were made. Now will President Zelensky openly give a warm embrace to Prime Minister Modi? Will Modi be the only leader worldwide who can go to Moscow and also Kiev and hug both leaders and have a conversation? And what does that imply then?
Well, first thing, this attack on hospital, which unfortunately happened during Prime Minister Modi's visit to Moscow, has been talked of from the Western viewpoint quite a lot and given a slant which was quite unnecessary. Does anyone in the West talk about various hospitals in Gaza which were attacked and are being attacked almost on a daily basis by Israel? So I think the hospital thing has been overblown. Now, coming to Mr. Modi's visit to Ukraine, it has many dimensions. Number one, he'll be getting a double briefing. First, in Poland, giving Ukraine's viewpoint, and second, in Ukraine itself, giving Mr. Zelensky's viewpoint. And Mr. Zelensky, at the moment, is riding high because he's achieved a certain victory at the moment in Russian territory, which no one expected. At least no one in the global south expected. Maybe people in the West were aware of it. So he feels that at the moment he has an upper hand, both militarily and as well as in possible negotiations whenever they happen. The second thing about Mr. Zelensky is his tendency to be dramatic whenever an important visit takes place. A few months back, there was sort of a worry and concern in Western capitals that whenever President Macron or someone else from UK or Germany visits Ukraine, then air sirens keep going off. And they say that these are false alarms, but meant to impress the visiting dignitary that look, Kiev is under attack constantly from Russia and we are living with a very aggressive country. So Zelensky can be expected to pull off all kinds of scenarios meant to impress Prime Minister Modi. But to be fair, we should realize that when the visits of Western leadership to Kiev have virtually come to a halt, Prime Minister Modi is taking a very bold step at a time when Ukraine is aggressive, when this morning there was a huge drone attack on Moscow.
Yes, at Moscow, yeah.
So these are difficult times for anyone who is attempting to give the message of peace. So I would say that we should not think of destination at the moment in terms of achieving peace, but the beginning of a process which Mr. Modi is going to convey to Mr. Zelensky, that leave aside the temporary ups and downs in the war between Russia and Ukraine, think of the larger picture and think of the people of Ukraine. And I think he's going to reiterate publicly the message that he gave to President Putin.
But Ambassador Rajiv Dogra and also, Mr. Botnick, one of the aspects is, and let's address the big elephant in the room, this is not a Ukraine versus Russia fight only. There is a big influence of NATO and that to the US in how things are coordinated and what's happening. The US is also watching. So how much of a US influence or a buy-in is there on Bharat's visit, not just to Kiev, but also Poland? because Poland is one of the most important allies, and Mr. Tusk is a very strong advocate and very totally anti-Russia there and anti-Putin. So there has to be a buy-in from the NATO powers and largely the US. And US is in the throes of an election campaign right now. Ambassador Rajiv Tokla.
Well, you're very right that there is a third party involved, and the third party very heavily is led by US. And there are examples from recent past. The people had expected the peace agreement to be reached between Russia and Ukraine almost in the beginning of the war. But then, and this was in Turkey, and then Boris Johnson entered the picture, the former Prime Minister of UK, and he said, no, tear off this draft agreement, we cannot have this. So there is speculation that the continuation of war in Ukraine serves certain interests in the Western countries, as I said, led by US. Whether that is a fact or not is a different thing. But there is nothing to indicate that US and Western countries are on the side of peace in this particular scenario. The second thing is, and it should hurt Russia, I mean, I'm not speaking on behalf of Russia, but I'm merely analyzing the evidence that is there in Western newspapers. The Wall Street Journal and an important German newspaper reported recently that the Nord Stream gas pipeline was blown up by Ukraine in collaboration with some Polish people. So when you have your important lifeline of energy supply being sabotaged like this is an act of terrorism. So I would say that there is need for restraint on both sides, but there is a need for advisory restraint on the side of NATO countries.
Mr. Botnick, your thoughts?
Yes. There is no simple story about NATO. We need to understand it. It's not like such united, like it looks from external, from the NATO. Look at Turkey or Hungary or other countries, which leads quite another policy toward the Ukrainian-Russian conflict than entire NATO. If we are talking about the visit to Poland and Ukraine at the same time, it looks like India coming back to the high policy, to the policy of high powers, main states in the world. Because now European continent, European Union and NATO countries, now they are a battlefield between United States and China, from economical, political, from even military side. And it looks like India could be a third player, maybe not the strongest player for nowadays, but India could play a very significant role in peaceful negotiation between the sides in this moment.
Right. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your thoughts. The visit continues. We had some latest pictures of the Prime Minister laying a wreath at the memorial for the martyrs. And thereafter, he has an engagement with the Indian diaspora in Poland later this evening, and there will be continuous broadcast and coverage of that here on CNN News 18. But we'll get a move on, ladies and gentlemen, shift focus and come closer home. But in the neighborhood, there was huge amount of turmoil recently, a regime change after a landslide victory in Bangladesh for Sheikh Hasina, but she was forced to move because of these protests that turned mass protests outside, where even the army eventually lifted their hands up and she had to flee the country. Now she is currently in Bharat seeking temporary refuge, but we have sent somebody from our team on ground to get an assessment of the state of minorities there. Do they continue to be hounded? Are Hindus, largely minorities are Hindus, a larger number, 8% of the population today, reduced to just 8%. Sometime they were about 15 to 18%, nearly 20% at one point in time. Pallavi Ghosh is joining us live. Pallavi, whereabouts are you and how are things on ground?
Well, Anand, there are naysayers. There are many people who are very dismissive of the fact that there is no attacks taking place on Bangladeshi Hindus. I've been talking to a lot of people. There are around 2 crores of those Hindus across the country. Many of them are now so scared they don't even want to talk about it. We saw in the first few days of the protests which took place in the national capital where I'm standing here at this point of time. That time you did find the Hindus a little bit vocal. They wanted to talk about the kind of tension that they went through. Now suddenly a lot of them have decided to go underground or not even talk about it, and the reason behind this is very simple, a kind of political uncertainty. There is an interim government under Mohammad Yunus in place. The appeal has gone in from the Prime Minister to Mr. Yunus that do protect the minorities because India and Bangladesh have always been friends. That assurance has gone in. You saw Mr. Yunus going across to Dhakeshwari temple, which is the oldest one. I visited there, but I was surprised to see a large collection of police over there, which essentially captures the story that all is not very well. In fact, early this morning, the police commissioner of Bangladesh had a meeting with all the Hindu outfits because a big challenge is going to be on Janmashtami, where the procession actually goes through the streets of Dhaka. How are they going to ensure the safety of the Hindus over there? There are hostels, for example, where there are reports of Indian and also Hindus who are holed up there because they're too scared to come out. So this is a stark reality. For now, there's a lid on it. That's because there's hope that there would be a political certainty. Elections will be held anytime soon. And India is a delicate diplomatic position. We have Sheikh Hasina because she's been our friend. But on the other hand, India also wants to have an amicable relationship with Bangladesh as well.
So now what's the way forward? And are the reports that came that Hindus were targeted, their houses were burnt, they were singled out and they are fleeing towards the borders closer to Bharat, are those reports true? How many of those Hindus who fled their homes, Bangladeshi Hindus, have they returned?
Well, no. As I said, I found a lot of them as either underground or they're incommunicado. I'm going to try and make a visit to one of the universities. In fact, in one of the hostels, there are a large number of 3,000 Hindu students. Now, all of them are incommunicado. They don't want to talk. They are scared. There is a sense of uncertainty which I see here. Whenever the elections are held, and even before that, frankly speaking, Anand, I think the biggest challenge for Mr. Yunus is going to show to the world that minorities can be taken care of here. At the same time, they all tell me as much as Bangladesh is important to India, India is very, very important to Bangladesh, and we do understand why Sheikh Hasina continues to be on the Indian soil. So I don't think the Bangladeshi regime over here can afford to completely ignore what Prime Minister Modi had told to him, that we do want good relationship, but at the end of the day, the minorities need to be protected. We have to see how much the government walks the talk. As I said, Janmashtami is going to be the first big test really to ensure that as the procession goes through the capital city of Dhaka, there is all well. There are no attacks. There is no threat to their security.
But not just the capital city of Dhaka, but there are about 30 districts which are highly sensitive out of the 64 in Bangladesh. Pallavi, you're on ground. Stay safe and continue to get us the reports that you are. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. With that, it's a wrap of this edition of The Right Stand. Brass tacks up next. Stay with us.
Co-powered by
थाने के बदलापुर में एक नामी ग्रामीण स्कूल में 2 मासूम बच्चों के साथ मॉलेस्टेशन की घटना घटने के बाद जो बदलापुर के लोग थे वो काफी ज्यादा नाराज थे। उन्होंने सड़कों पर और स्कूल में तोड़फोड़ की थी और 10 घंटे तक सेंट्रल रेलवे को पूरी तरह से बंद किया हुआ था। बदलापुर जो रेलवे स्टेशन है वहां पर कल 10 घंटे तक जो लोग थे, जो नाराज लोग थे, वो पटरी पर बैठे हुए थे और पूरा का पूरा जो सेंट्रल लाइन का ऑपरेशन था वो 10 घंटे तक बंद था। यानी कोई भी लोकल ट्रेन नहीं चल रही थी, लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस ट्रेनें नहीं चल रही थी, सभी ट्रेनें वो एक जगह रुक गई थी और 10 घंटे तक जो लोग हैं वो प्रोटेस्ट करते रहे। इस समय हम थाने के बदलापुर रेलवे स्टेशन पे हैं, उसी रेलवे स्टेशन पे जहां पर कल काफी ज्यादा विरोध प्रदर्शन हुआ था और अंत में पुलिस को लाठीचार्ज करना पड़ा लोगों को भीड़ से ट्रैक से हटाने के लिए। पुलिस ने तकरीबन 60 से 77 लोगों को गिरफ्तार किया हुआ है। लेकिन अभी मैं आपको स्थिति दिखाऊं बदलापुर रेलवे स्टेशन की, पुलिस का जो बंदोबस्त है वो अभी भी यहाँ पर है, यहाँ पर स्टेशन पर आ सकता है, इसलिए पुलिस कोई भी कोताही बरतना नहीं चाहती है। इसलिए बाकायदा पुलिस की टीम आप देखते थे, जीआरपी, लोकल पुलिस और वो ताकि कोई भी लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सिचुएशन ना बिगड़े। हालांकि आज की जो स्थिति है वो कुछ नॉर्मल दिखाई दे रही है, क्योंकि कल इस पुलिस स्टेशन पर जो लोग थे वो कुछ है, जो लोग हैं जो मुंबई जा रहे हैं या फिर मुंबई से वापस आ रहे हैं, वो अपने काम पर, दफ्तर, ऑफिस और अपने काम के लिए निकल रहे हैं। लोकल ट्रेन की जो ऑपरेशन है वो सुचारू रूप से चल रही है। कल तकरीबन 10 घंटे तक इसी प्लेटफॉर्म पर लोगों ने विरोध प्रदर्शन किया था और ट्रैक पर बैठ गए थे। उनके साथ रोक के मांग थी कि जो आरोपी था उसके खिलाफ सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी। लेकिन अभी सब कुछ सिचुएशन नॉर्मल है।
Yesterday we saw that for more than 10 hours.
This is CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Very good evening. You're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Akanksha Swaroop and we are coming live to you from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. The brutal rape and murder of the trainee doctor at the RG Medical College and the sexual assault cases of the 2 kindergarten girls in Badlapur are just the latest of several high-profile recent incidents of gender-based violence in India. They come at a time when sexual violence appears to be on the rise. According to the National Crime Records Bureau, there was a 20% increase in reported rapes in 2022 compared to 2021.